Hello underachievers. So I'm literally going to start off this video by saying if you want any input on this conversation, if you want to comment on this video, that's chill, but don't do that unless you watch it with an open mind. If you're not willing to listen to what I say and you just want to comment, oh, this is just SJW bullshit, then I don't want you here. A year ago I wouldn't be discussing demisexuality unless I was going to shit on it. I would literally have just squatted on it and shat upon it. I was one of those people that wrote off demisexuality as one of those not real labels because it wasn't straight or gay and it wasn't trans, and if it wasn't one of those labels that I didn't understand, then it wasn't real. I couldn't be asked to actually look into it and try and understand, which is what I think a lot of people nowadays are like. Before you say anything, I agree, there are too many labels and not everything needs to be labelled, but words have meanings and lots of people want to put a word to the experience they have, so they've come up with the word demisexual. People want to find themselves, so of course they're going to try and find a word that suits them because it's nice to feel like you belong. Is the label necessary? Frankly, I don't care. Like, doesn't really matter to me if it's necessary. If it helps some people, then go ahead. And demisexuality is not like one of these fucking autism gender or fucking cup gender. It's not that shit. Please just listen. So, obviously, I'm not demisexual. Do I have a place making this video? I think I do because I've learned stuff about it and I want to spread that because I don't like seeing people misinterpret things and shit upon them. I've seen a lot of negativity around the word demisexual recently. On Twitter, everyone's saying it's not real or whatever, which is... I'm not here to discuss if demisexuality is inherently LGBT. That could be for another video, so if you're here to say that demisexuality doesn't belong in the LGBT community, then like, go away. Like, that's not what this video is about. I'm literally making this video because I've only recently discovered what demisexuality actually is. I'm still not sure myself if I think it's a sexuality. I think it's to do with sexual attraction, so I don't know. Is it a sexuality? Who knows? That's not what we're here to discuss. I'm just here to discuss about I'm literally just here to talk about how demisexuality is a thing and how people shouldn't just write it off because it sounds complicated. And of course this video is about my understanding of demisexuality. I'm not demisexual, but this is my understanding from other people's experiences and from literal definitions, so. So, is demisexuality valid? Valid. So I'm going to show you guys the definition to this, and you have to pay attention to the words because I've seen lots of people read the definition and completely misinterpret what it means and then spout bullshit. I want you guys to, like, pay attention to what it says, otherwise why else would you be here? So, a demisexual is a person who does not experience sexual attraction unless they form an emotional connection. It's more commonly seen in, but by no means confined to, romantic relationships. The term demisexual comes from the orientation being halfway between sexual and asexual. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Demisexuals don't experience sexual attraction until they've formed an emotional connection with someone. A demisexual is not a person who chooses not to have sex before getting to know somebody. They're a person who physically cannot feel sexual attraction until they form an emotional... They're a person who physically cannot experience sexual attraction until they form an emotional connection with someone. Now, the main argument I hear against demisexuality is, oh, that's normal. That's just having standards. I mean, no. That's not what it is. A demisexual person has an inability to feel sexual attraction until they've formed an emotional connection with someone. That doesn't mean they have standards, that means they literally just do not experience sexual attraction until they're close to someone. It's not like they found someone sexually attractive and waited to have sex with them. That's what people would call having standards. They literally don't experience that sexual attraction. It's like under the asexual spectrum. And the argument that it's normal to not have a sexual attraction to somebody until you're close to them doesn't really work. If everybody was demisexual, celebrity crushes wouldn't be a thing. Have you ever had a celebrity crush? Have you ever fantasized about being with a celebrity sexually? If you say no, you're either lying, or maybe you're demisexual or asexual. Most people who have celebrity crushes are sexually attracted to the celebrity without even having an emotional connection to them. I've literally wanted to fuck Bill Skarsgård ever since I laid eyes on him. I did not experience an emotional connection to him. I don't know him personally, I just am sexually attracted to him. A demisexual person would not be sexually attracted to him until they formed an emotional connection to him. That's the difference between me, someone who's not demisexual, and someone who is demisexual. So, just want to say that being demisexual is not a choice, it's not really a preference. I'm not sure if it's a sexuality, that's a different debate. I'm just here to say that it's a thing. A preference is something that people prefer to do, as in, they don't have to do it, but they prefer to do it. Demisexuals probably don't prefer to not be sexually attracted to someone. They physically cannot be... They physically cannot be sexually attracted to them until they form an emotional connection. That's not a preference, that's just how their sexual attraction works. People mostly say that it's a preference that they're choosing to abstain from sex until they have a bond with someone, but it's not. They literally just don't experience, like... I don't want to... Say, for example, someone who's demisexual tried to have, like, a casual hookup. They probably couldn't get it up. Like, that's... You know, they're just not sexually attracted to someone until they have a bond. Casual hookups are so common, they're so normal, and I don't want to do that, but lots of people do. That doesn't mean they don't have standards, it just means they have a sexual attraction and they want to fuck. Demisexuals probably wouldn't have casual sex because they can't experience sexual attraction until they have a bond. Do you recall hearing the being gay is a choice conversation and how frustrating it was to hear? That must be how demisexuals feel when people say that being demisexual is just a preference, or that demisexuals are choosing not to have sex. They're not choosing to not be sexually attracted to someone. Sexual attraction is not something that you choose. We've heard the whole love is not a choice thing, you know. It's not... Demisexuals aren't choosing to not feel sexual attraction, they literally just can't have it. So, is demisexuality a sexuality? So, demisexuality does have the word sexuality in it. Does that make it a sexuality? Who knows? Transsexual people aren't sexually attracted to trans people, you know, it's just a word. To me at least, it doesn't really matter if it's a sexuality or not. It doesn't matter to me whether it's LGBT or not. I don't care about that. I just care that people are saying it's not real when it is. So here's an interesting point and an interesting comment that I got on my got on my Instagram photo last night. So this person said, "Hi, let's just take a second to remind ourselves that sexuality is something that describes what sex, or sexes, and what gender, or genders we are attracted to relative to our own sex and gender. Demisexuality, which is a useful idea, isn't necessarily a sexuality because it doesn't describe what sexes and or genders you're attracted to. I'd label the idea of demisexuality an attractive descriptor. That doesn't make it any less valid, that just means it's inappropriate to classify it as a sexuality. Sexuality as a concept is more of a who and what on the other hand. Demisexuality is an how and when." That was a mouthful. That's interesting. You don't have to think demisexuality is a sexuality, you don't have to think it's LGBT, but you just have to admit that it's a thing that people experience, you know? Like, it is. So, in conclusion, obviously, you can think what you want. You've got free choice, you can have your own opinions, you can discuss this if you want. With this one, though, I don't know how you can disagree that demisexuality is a thing. You can disagree that it's a sexuality, or that it's LGBT or not, but at the end of the day, it's a thing that people experience. I would advise you to stop shitting on people just because you don't understand them. You should probably take the time to listen to what they have to say and what they experience, and then come to a conclusion. A while back, I didn't listen to what anyone had to say, I came to my own conclusions, and turns out they were wrong, and that's why I'm making this video. Putting people down because you don't understand them is literally what caused... Oh. The idea of putting someone down just because you don't understand them is kind of part of the reason why gay people were so hated, and why trans people were so hated. It's very easy to hate something you don't understand. So yeah, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, fair enough. Go ahead, don't enjoy it. But yeah, feel free to comment below if YouTube allows my comments. I don't really think there's much point in debating whether or not it's LGBT or whether or not it's a sexuality, because that's not what this video is about. If you want to make your own video about that, go ahead, but this video is literally just about whether it's a thing, and yes, it is a thing. So yeah, have a good day or don't. See you later, losers. Give it a slap. Oh, I'm out of focus. This has never happened before.